If you've been watching football for long enough, then you know there are lots of politics when it comes to NFL players. Now sometimes the politics come from the media, as the media will take some players' words or their actions and they will put it out there and make it a bigger deal than really what it is. Then you have those players that have one situation and then for the rest of their careers, their name is always in the media because they will have multiple situations after that. And this could lead to some of those players being blackballed, whether it's because the media take that one situation and then they create a bad reputation for the player, or the player creates a bad reputation for themselves throughout their career. And one player that fits the mold of creating a bad reputation for themselves is Antonio Brown. If you look at Antonio Brown now, you just see a guy that posts on Twitter and it's mostly posts about memes and some controversial posts, but he doesn't even own his Twitter account. If I'm not mistaken, he sold his Twitter account. The person that runs it now just goes by AB though. But if you look at Antonio Brown about 10-12 years ago, you would see a player that had emerged as arguably the best wide receiver in football and a player that had the trajectory of being a Hall of Famer. Look at Brown's accomplishments when he was with the Steelers. He led the league in receptions and receiving yards twice, he made the Pro Bowl 7 times, and he was named to the All-Pro team 5 times. I mean, he had over 11,000 receiving yards and 70 touchdowns as a Steeler. He became arguably their best receiver of all time. The only problem with Antonio Brown was that he couldn't stop making bad decisions. You had that time where he went Facebook Live as a teammate was giving the team speech after a game, saying that they need to be cool on social media. Then you had the time before a crucial Week 17 game against the Bengals where he chucked the ball at Big Ben. Mike Tomlin then benched AB for the game, but AB said he wasn't going to show up to the game, but then he showed up with a fur coat on. I don't know, it's Antonio Brown, bro. Antonio Brown and Big Ben bumping heads in Pittsburgh wasn't actually a new thing. It was actually a common thing, especially near the end of Antonio Brown's tenure in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh finally got tired of AB. They decided to trade him to the Raiders, where it didn't take long for him to start problems because of a helmet. Now the story goes that AB wanted to use a certain helmet that was banned by the NFL due to safety reasons, and AB refused to use any other helmet that the NFL required to use. And since he refused to use any other helmet, he went as far as trying to sneak in his old helmet during a practice. Y'all remember the time he burned his feet on the Raiders doing like off-season recovery? The last straw was him getting into an argument with then Raiders GM Mike Mayock, and then he got suspended. John Gruden then called him. He recorded the private phone call with John Gruden and posted the phone call on IG, got suspended, got fined, got cut, got signed by the Patriots, and then he got cut from the Patriots after 1 week due to some allegations. He would then get signed with Tampa Bay, where he actually helped them win the Super Bowl in 2020 with Tom Brady. But in 2021, the problems would occur again. You had him faking the vaccination card, and then you also had him leaving the game against the Jets where he took off his jersey and his shirt, and then just went to the locker room and left. Since then, AB retired. He was going to have a Hall of Fame career, but due to all his antics, he's probably not going to end up being a Hall of Famer. Another pass catcher that got into a lot of trouble was Aaron Hernandez. Now, Aaron Hernandez was a beast of a tight end coming out of the University of Florida. Aaron Hernandez, the 6'2", 250-pound tight end out of Florida, was drafted in the 4th round by the New England Patriots. Now in college, Hernandez had 1,300 total receiving yards and 12 total touchdowns, but despite his good stats, his draft stock dropped because he had off the field concerns and he had some size concerns. Hernandez would be paired with the other rookie tight end that the Patriots drafted, Rob Gronkowski. And Hernandez made an instant impact. His first year, he played 14 games, had 563 yards, 6 touchdowns. The next year was even better, 910 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he helped the Patriots reach the Super Bowl. Despite losing in the Super Bowl, Hernandez still played really well, 8 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Due to injury in his third season, he only played 10 games where he had almost 500 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns receiving. After his third season is where the off-field concerns finally caught up with him.
And that an arrest warrant has been issued for New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez.
On June 26, 2013, Aaron Hernandez was charged with the murder of Odin Lloyd. Due to this, you had the Patriots official pro shop remove anything Aaron Hernandez from the website. You had NCAA 14 and Madden 25 take anything that involved Aaron Hernandez out of the game. Florida did their best to remove any likeness that involved Aaron Hernandez. Basically, any company or anything that associated their name with Aaron Hernandez removed Aaron Hernandez from their company. In 2015, Hernandez was found guilty of murder, and then in 2017, he will unalive himself in jail. If you want to find more about his story, you could probably find a documentary, because there are like 20 of them. Terrell Owens is a player I believe that got blackballed by the media and didn't blackball himself. Growing up, my dad always told me how great of a receiver prime Terrell Owens was, because I really didn't get to watch his years in the NFL. I got to watch like his last 3 years. But when I turned on the TV, watched ESPN, all they did was trash Terrell Owens. They used to talk about how much of a locker room cancer he was, a distraction he was. And I feel like he probably did break up some locker rooms, like when he was on the 49ers and Eagles. Not too much on the Cowboys. Now, I will acknowledge, the media always did tell you how great Terrell Owens was, but that always came usually before they would start throwing dirt on his name. And I believe the media, now Terrell Owens has some doing in this, created a bad reputation for himself. But I don't think Terrell Owens created a bad reputation for himself enough to get blacklisted from the league, because his last year in the league, he had 900 yards. I mean, you telling me a receiver as great as Terrell Owens has a 983-yard season, almost a 1,000-yard season, and couldn't get another contract? And then you telling me a guy who has the resume that Terrell Owens has was a second ballot Hall of Famer? Come on, man. The committee or whoever was voting on the Hall of Fame was just hating. So yeah, I feel like Terrell Owens got blacklisted from the league because of the media. I mean, dude could have played like at least 3-4 more years in the NFL. Bernard Williams was an offensive lineman in the 1990s who got blacklisted from the league because of marijuana. Now it sucks because Williams only played 1 year and all he had to do was apply for reinstatement back to the NFL, but instead he just never did. Instead, he actually decided to play in the CFL, where he was a CFL All-Star twice and he won the championship. And back in November of 2023, after 29 years, he was actually cut from the Eagles roster. Justin Blackmon was a star wide receiver in college at Oklahoma State, and he was destined to have a long NFL career. In college, Blackmon won the Biletnikoff Award twice, he was a unanimous All-American twice, he was first team All-Big 12 twice, and he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. He had 3,500 receiving yards and 40 touchdowns in just his 3 years at Oklahoma State. And the Jacksonville Jaguars decided to draft Blackmon with the 5th overall pick. Before he played a game with the Jaguars, the trouble for Blackmon would arise, as on June 3rd, 2012, he would be arrested for a DUI but released later that day. But it was no setback from it. His first season still went well, 865 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, but in the offseason, he would get in trouble once again. On April 20th, 2013, it was reported that Blackmon would be suspended for the first 4 games of the season due to violating the NFL's drug policy. Now, he did come back from the suspension. He played 4 games, 415 yards, and 1 touchdown, but then he was suspended once again. This time he was suspended indefinitely though, but he would be eligible to apply for reinstatement back to the NFL. But then on May 2nd, 2014, Jaguars general manager said that it was unlikely that Blackmon would join them for the 14 NFL season. But he would get in trouble once again, as on July 23rd, 2014, he would get pulled over due to possession of marijuana. In May of 2015, the NFL would deny Blackmon's reinstatement, and then in November of 2016, he would get arrested for a DUI. And that'll be the last thing I heard of Justin Blackmon. I mean, I couldn't find anything about what he's doing today. Last time he played in the NFL is what, 12 years ago? But man, what if Justin Blackmon never got in trouble? Maybe he would have been one of the best wide receivers during the 2010s. Josh Gordon is another wide receiver that never got to fulfill his potential due to his substance abuse problems. We could trace this all the way back to Gordon's years in college, where him and teammate Willie Johnson fell asleep in the Taco Bell drive-thru, and then when police searched their cars, they found marijuana. Then in July 2011, Art Briles, then Baylor head coach, suspended Gordon due to him failing a drug test. He transferred to Utah, didn't play there, then he entered the supplemental draft in 2012 and got picked in the 2nd round. And you know what? He had a solo rookie season, 50 receptions, 805 yards, 5 touchdowns, but he would then be suspended in the offseason due to him violating the NFL substance abuse policy. Despite being suspended for those 2 games, he still led the NFL in receiving yards, 1,646 yards, and 9 touchdowns. On top of that, he made first team All-Pro and the Pro Bowl. But in the offseason, he was arrested for a DUI, and then later in the offseason, it was reported that he would be suspended for the entire season due to him violating NFL substance abuse policy. Now, that 1-year suspension was brought down to 10 games, but he would still be suspended during the last game of the season due to violating team rules, and in the offseason, he would be suspended for another year for violating the NFL substance abuse policy once again. He wouldn't play for 2 straight seasons, and then he spent 2 more seasons on the Browns playing 6 total games, and then he would end up on the Patriots. Now, he was good for the Patriots, played 11 games, 720 receiving yards, but it was revealed that Gordon would be facing an indefinite ban from the NFL due to him violating the terms of his conditional reinstatement under the NFL drug policy. He spent another season in New England, then he went to Seattle where he played 5 games, but in the 2020 season, he was banned once again for an entire season. After that ban, Gordon spent 2 more years in the NFL with the Chiefs and the Titans, but in 2024, he would announce his retirement. But as I found out just a couple hours ago, he just made an XFL roster. At one point in time, Ray Rice was one of the best running backs in the league. Now, his NFL career was really short. He only played 6 seasons, but he had 4 straight seasons of over 1,000 rushing yards. Rice also showed his value in the pass catching game, as in each of those 4 seasons, he had over 400 receiving yards. Like I said, he only spent 6 seasons in the NFL, and this was due to a domestic violence case. The story goes that Rice and fiance, now wife, Janae Palmer, were both drunk and involved in a physical altercation in the elevator where Rice hit her, knocked her unconscious, and then dragged her out the elevator. Of course, this made headlines on every news source. And even despite this incident happening, 6 weeks later, they still got married. And Rice, it was reported that Rice would be suspended for the first 2 games of the season, but then Roger Goodell said he needed a longer suspension and he never played it down again in the NFL. Through research, I found out that him and Janae Palmer are still happily married, and Ray Rice is now a JV coach at Milford Mill Academy. Of course, the last person I'm gonna mention is Colin Kaepernick. Do y'all think he got blacklisted from the league because of the media or because of himself? I think it's because of the media. I mean, what he was doing really wasn't that bad. All he really did was kneel for the national anthem. He refused to stand. But I remember people on social media, not necessarily the national media, I remember, but social media being like, oh, he's disrespecting the veterans. When after that, he stated multiple times that he was not trying to disrespect the veterans. It was for a whole different reason. And of course, after a full season of all these talks, the 49ers decided to cut him because he was probably being a distraction to the team, or at least that's the way he was viewed. And of course, after he was cut, that was the last time he was in the NFL. Also, y'all remember that year in Madden where like they had his name on a song and then it was like an update and then they took his name out the song? Those are a couple players that got blacklisted from the league. Some due to their own antics, some I think the media helped create a narrative that kind of got them blacklisted from the league. Let me know down in the comment section what other players y'all think maybe got blacklisted or blackballed from the league. And until next time, thank y'all for the support. I'm out. Peace.